Geneva, Switzerland, August 22nd, 2025. At the United Nations headquarters, a stark warning was delivered to the world. UN Aid Chief Fletcher declared that the famine in Gaza should, in his words, haunt us all. His remarks were not just a statement, but an indictment, a reminder that what is unfolding was both predictable and preventable. Fletcher told reporters that what the world is witnessing is not a natural disaster, but a man-made famine. His words carried a chilling weight. It is a famine on all of our watch. Everyone owns this. The Gaza famine is the world's famine. A famine that asks, what did you do? A famine that will and must haunt us all. It is predictable, preventable, caused by cruelty, justified by revenge, enabled by indifference, and sustained by complicity. Those words echoed through Geneva, painting a picture of failure that stretches far beyond the borders of Gaza. For Fletcher, this is not merely a local tragedy. It is a global moral collapse. He reminded the world that Gaza's crisis did not appear overnight. It was the product of months of relentless blockade, destruction of food supply chains, and the collapse of basic infrastructure. Today, more than 2 million people are trapped in conditions that humanitarian agencies describe as catastrophic. Aid convoys that stood ready at border crossings were often blocked. Vital shipments of flour, rice and medical supplies sat idle, denied entry, while Gaza's population slipped deeper into hunger and despair. The famine, Fletcher insisted, is not looming. It is already here. Reports from the ground show malnutrition rates among children skyrocketing to levels unseen in decades. Hospitals, already overwhelmed by war injuries, are forced to treat starvation cases with limited equipment and dwindling supplies. Parents are skipping meals so their children can eat, but even that sacrifice is often not enough. Aid workers describe scenes of children collapsing from hunger, of families rationing scraps of bread, and of doctors watching patients starve because there is nothing left to give them. Behind these human tragedies lies a harsher political reality. Fletcher made clear that cruelty and revenge have shaped policies that starve civilians. Governments in the region and beyond have either turned a blind eye or actively blocked relief, while rival factions inside Gaza and elsewhere exploit hunger as a weapon of war. Diplomats admit privately what Fletcher now states publicly. Famine has become a tool of politics, and international law is being shredded in the process. In his statement, Fletcher insisted that this famine is not Gaza's alone. It belongs to the world. Humanitarian law obligates the free passage of food, water and medicine. But again and again, convoys were denied, permissions delayed and access routes bombed. This systematic obstruction, he said, turned Gaza into what he called a man-made hell. For aid workers risking their lives to deliver supplies, the moral burden is crushing. For the international community, the question now is simple. How many more deaths will it take? The UN's emergency appeal calls for an immediate ceasefire and unfettered humanitarian access. Fletcher urged donor nations to move beyond statements and demand accountability from those who have blocked aid. He pressed regional leaders to set aside politics in the face of mass hunger and called on world powers to remember the lessons of history from Ethiopia to Somalia, where inaction allowed famine to carve scars into the conscience of humanity. The call was not only directed at governments. Fletcher also urged ordinary people across the world not to turn away. He emphasized that silence too is a form of complicity. The images coming out of Gaza of emaciated children, grieving parents and overwhelmed doctors are not just snapshots of a crisis, but a moral test for the international order itself. As his voice carried through the UN press hall in Geneva, one line lingered above all. The Gaza famine is the world's famine. It was not simply a warning, but a verdict. The famine, Fletcher declared, will haunt us all. Whether it drives meaningful change or whether it becomes another tragedy consigned to history now depends on the choices of leaders and on the conscience of humanity.
It is a famine on all of our watch. Everyone owns this. The Gaza famine is the world's famine. It is a famine that asks, but what did you do? a famine that will and must haunt us all. It is a predictable and a preventable famine. A famine caused by cruelty, justified by revenge, enabled by indifference, and sustained by complicity.